Michael Brown, Solar Ray. It's been a while. We've taken a little hiatus because we've been so busy here doing installations and covering contracts through the end of the year. But we're getting a little bit of breathing room, getting close to the end of those contracts so that we have some time to do some more marketing, make some videos for everybody, keep everybody informed. Actually, this is a little bit earlier than I was planning on doing this, but in light of certain things that have come up in the industry, I thought that we should do a video to put our customers and potential customers in the future at ease. Okay, so you've heard about this Ponzi scheme thing with DC Solar in California, completely unrelated to us, doesn't have any effect on us, doesn't do anything with us. We never did any business with them. Knew about them because they spent a lot of money. Now, the other thing that does have something to do with the Florida market is Brevard Solar closing their doors and leaving a bunch of people, high and dry. And so this video is kind of to give people a repeat on cautions that we have been saying to you for a long time. So there's things that you need to be looking at when you're buying a purchase like a solar system, is some things that you should be doing as a consumer and taking into consideration. This is not a small purchase, right? So this is a purchase that is of the value of a car, okay? But with your car, you're looking for aesthetics and comfort, and also something that you want, because you're getting in it every day and you're driving it around, you're being seen. You also are looking for whatever features in a car that you may want. Some people want safety, some people want style, some people want speed, some people want efficiency, some people want electric, some people want gas with the biggest motor they can get, and that's all fine, whatever you want as far as a car goes. With a solar system, what you're buying is you're buying something that has absolutely nothing to do with the way it looks outside of whether or not the installation is professional. Anything done professionally is going to look better than something that isn't done professionally. You're buying a solar system, maybe initially because of marketing that you've seen out there. Don't fall victim to marketing. There's more marketers out there. There's more people that have gone to school and are professional with bachelor's and master's degrees in marketing and business than there are in anything else. And what you're looking to purchase is a conglomeration and assembly of components installed on your house in the most professional manner possible, and with the best choices in those components possible, so that you can be insured for a long-term return on your money, because what you're buying is something that is going to be generating electricity over time. Okay, and you want it to be generating electricity over time as trouble-free as it can possibly be, with as few service calls as you can possibly have, and for it to last 10 years to 30 years or more, right? So you want it to at least meet its obligation and your presumption of it paying for itself and beyond. Okay, so it stands to reason to hire a contractor or to buy from a company that's been around as long as the warranties on the components, right? And to buy parts that from manufacturers that have been providing equipment to the industry for as long as possible, so that there's a certain amount of reliability and also credibility. So the modules that we use aren't very well known. However, it has been a boutique manufacturer that has been building modules for outside the US based companies so that they can have a US made module. Okay, so they weren't selling a module under their own label. They were building modules in the US so that other manufacturers that are located outside the US could have a US based module and put that American flag on there. Okay, so they were doing that for a very long time before they started labeling their own module. So, and the inverter manufacturer that we use is the longest, most reliable, or the longest in business, most reliable inverter manufacturer in the world, not in the US, in the world. And it's very well known and widespread. And so they have certainly been around longer than any of the warranties that are available on that equipment, which also goes to our mounting equipment, which is Unirac, which is the very first standardized mounting system for solar in the whole solar industry, okay? So, which is a US manufacturer, and they were worldwide even 10, 15 years ago, okay? So we use what is known, we adapt to things that are obviously better quality and or easier to install without losing quality and maintaining its integrity. Okay, so then it goes to who are you hiring to do this installation? Who are you looking to install this equipment? So there's a couple of things that people are doing that you should stop doing. Stop putting the decision in somebody else's hand. Don't go to one of these co-ops, okay? So this company that's out of business did over 100 installations for these co-ops because the co-ops chose them for their customers, okay? So they said, oh, come to us, we'll make a decision for you and we'll help you and you can all get together and you can make a good decision, a good buying practice and this, that, and the other. And they're saying, we know better than you, and they didn't know any better than anybody else. They just had a good idea for a co-op. They're good at forming co-ops. They're not good at installing solar. They don't install solar, okay? So they just get groups of people together to make a decision, and obviously they're not very good at that either because they chose this company over 123 times at least, okay? And so don't let somebody else make your decision. Make your decision based on reality. First off, don't buy from a company that does not display a contractor's license number, whether it be an electrical contractor's license number or a solar contractor's license number, and that would be an EC or a CVC, not a CV, because that's just gonna be water, but a CVC, which is photovoltaics. Case in point, the noise you just heard come on is an inverter system. This video is being produced by solar power, okay? So that's the way we roll. We actually use it too. The other thing that you need to be looking for is go to the company, okay? A company makes a lot of claims. Companies make lots of claims in order to be competitive with other companies in the industry, mostly us, okay? So they have to say they've been in business as long as us or they've been in business longer than us. You have to go to the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, go to SunBiz, Department of Corporations, or the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. But go to SunBiz and you can do a company lookup. How long have they actually been in business under their current structure? And if you see a lot of restructuring over time, what does that tell you about the stability of the company? And every time, if they completely restructure all of their articles of incorporation, there's only two reasons to do that. And one is to completely dissolve the company, which erases all liability for the previous company. And it can still have the same name, but now it's a different company. It's a completely different company. Okay, so even though the name might have that legacy, the company does not. And it isn't liable for any of the old things. And the other reason would be to go bankrupt and then restructure, right? So beware of these things. Also beware of these LLCs. Limited liability company means exactly that. It means they're not liable. It means that right on the front end, they're saying to the Department of Business and Professional Regulations that we are going to, on our face, say we're a limited liability company or corporation, and then we're not going to have the same insurance requirements as anybody else. Of course, they're not going to qualify for a lot of the things. Like you're not going to see an LLC, not very often, with a contractor's license number because there are insurance requirements to hold those licenses and to file them with building departments. The reason for this is because it became apparent last week. We saw things in social media, and we ourselves have been approached by customers that were left hanging by the closing of the doors from Brevard Solar. And so there, as of now, publicly, there are well over 100 reported cases, customers that have been self-exposed, self-reported, to have been left with rails only on the roof. And what Brevard, because we were approached by a customer, so we actually got to see the contracts, and the contracts is, okay, so you give us a little bit of a down payment, we'll get started on your stuff, and then you give us the second payment. It's a 3-payment thing they were doing, and you give us the second payment when we come and install a rail, okay? And so they were getting the bulk, probably more than 50% of the contract, just by sending guys out there to put things on your roof. And as soon as they put things on the roof, by contract, the customer was paying them. And at least on the customer that came to us, they had filed for a permit, but anybody can go down and file for a permit, even if it's completely, that just means that you fill out the paperwork, sign the bottom. It could be completely not viable, but you file it, and it's filed, right? So there's a record of a filing, because there was, for the one that we inquired about, no engineering, no design plan, no electrical drawings or schematics, nothing. Just a simple filing and then an installation of rails. And this customer is now out an amazing amount of money. It's very sad. And the company has no assets except for personal assets. And if you have hundreds of customers at over $10,000 out a piece, they're not going to be able to cover, no matter what, they're not going to be able to cover that. So be careful, people. And this is a company that was around for maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years or so. So let's get to us. Okay, Solar Ray. Okay, I was installing solar systems before we incorporated. Not solely, and I wasn't the contractor, but I was looking for contractors. In fact, if I would have found a contractor in 2000 that knew what they were doing as far as installing solar systems, I wouldn't be here in front of this camera with you, and I wouldn't be wearing this Solar Ray shirt. And so what happened was I had a relative, had to have a house with solar, in Florida, and I couldn't find a contractor that I felt comfortable hiring. Went and did some actual research, not Google University research, actual research, like calling, back then it was, I think it was New Mexico University, or it's down in Las Cruces, and talking to them, and also Sandia National Labs and Oak Ridge National Labs and the Florida Solar Energy Center, finding out what I could find out, and doing my best to try and figure out what to do, because back then there weren't all the resources that there are now in order to find any of this out, sourcing the equipment from the only distributors in the US that there were, which were out in California, and facilitating the installation and working on it myself too, because the roofer that I worked with and the electrician that I worked with had no experience with this either, right? So, so I hired them, and we all put these, the first couple of systems up, and basically every 3 to 6 months, the distributors would be calling me saying, we have somebody that's buying a system, can you help them put it in? And then I'd make a relationship there, and then after a couple of years I thought, well, it wouldn't be a bad idea to incorporate this. It's coming, nobody else is interested, I might as well be the guy. And so I've been the guy officially since 2003. No one else was doing photovoltaics back then. There was one guy, and he's still in business, okay, give him that installed a system, but he was one of the systems, and he's out of the Tampa area. He was one of the systems that I looked at when I was looking to hire somebody to install the first system, and decided that I had to do it myself. So back then, even that guy was not up to par as far as what I would want one of my relatives to have, or what I would want associated with my name. And I have some pretty high profile customers in the area that when I got out of construction, because I was doing all kinds of things, that were actually angry with me for no longer doing home improvement stuff or other construction and just solely concentrating on the solar. So, and I bring that to the solar industry, right? I bring that to the industry local. I've always pushed things. I'm not the nicest guy with other people in the industry, but I am pushing for the consumer, right? I've always been pushing for the consumer. Anything and everything that you've ever found about me and Solar Ray throughout the time I've been in business, you will see that. In fact, we were instrumental in driving the price down in Florida. We're less expensive without incentives in Florida than anywhere else in the country, if not the world. And I like to pat myself in the back for helping that out, because I did. It was not these co-ops. They like to take credit for it, but it was not the co-ops. It certainly wasn't. It's the lack of incentives in the state and the willingness for some of us to compete for business is what it was. So I guess that's it for now. I think I've overstayed my welcome on the video. But anyways, Michael Brown, Solar Ray, have a good weekend. And be cautious, but don't be afraid, okay? Don't be afraid. It's all okay out there. The industry in Florida is great. You just need to do your homework. And by homework, don't go to Google University. Go to industry, specific industry sites for your reviews and things. Someplace where it might be more valid than Google. Google's easily manipulated, folks. All right, Michael Brown, have a great week.